I'll start recording. Forgot. Okay, so we'll just be continuing from where we left off last time, and I've actually gone ahead and put the code on GitHub, so you may get it also from there. Try and drop it in here. Okay, so I've put the link in chat, and I don't know, is there a way to pin a message? My goodness, Google, what are you doing? Right, good. But then essentially, that's where you can get the code for the first part. And if I may go ahead and share the other part. What's happening? I don't know. Present entire screen, screen 1. Share that. Okay. So I believe you can see my first screen. Okay, good. Right. So last time we left off with this part right here. And today I want us to go ahead and just do this part. Literally just finish it all. And I might try and go quick and also hopefully make sense while in the process of doing that. But yeah, but quickly before we go ahead, I'm just not comfortable with the background color here. So I feel like it's a little bit too dark gray, so I'll go ahead and change this to 100. Hot reload that. And okay, it looks different now. Although it might not be visible on camera. I mean, okay, good. It looks better now. Right. So, what will we do? We'll be doing this card right here. Okay. Now in Flutter, you can either make your own widget if you would like, or you can use an existing one. But then thing is, with existing ones, they don't always give you what you want sometimes. So that's why I've decided to ask that we'll make our own card from the ground up. So why are we making our own? Well, essentially, if we were to zoom into here a little bit more, you can tell that we have some shadow on this side and also a little bit on this side. But at the top here, there is none at all. Okay, so that's the reason why I've decided to go and just so we make our own card, which we can decide how we want to place the shadows and all that. Unlike the card widget, which comes with Flutter itself, I'm not so sure. As far as I know, I don't know if you can really adjust the shadows on there. Okay, other than maybe perhaps the elevation. I mean, okay, good. So really. Now, considering that this card right here will be reusing it, okay? We just don't want to be writing, okay, we write code for this card and then after we are done, we write that code again. No, we don't want to do that. So essentially what we'll want to do is reuse it. So essentially we'll go ahead and create we'll go ahead and put it in its own widget, okay? So we can essentially just call that widget any X amount of times and passing our own parameters, and we don't need to write it out every single time. Okay, good. So if we had to go and look at our code, I'll honestly just be starting after the search here, after the search field. Okay, good. So essentially, let's look at our card now. Because, I mean, you can start coding this out yourself, but let's go ahead and look at it. Okay, so we said it will be a separate entity, right? So we can be reusable. So we'll go ahead and just create a stateless widget over here. Okay, and we'll call it my card. So we'll call it my card. Okay. And let's just go ahead and put it in our widget tree. Okay, that's important because if you don't put it there, then essentially you won't see it on your screen. Okay, why is this taking long? Okay, good. Now let's look at our card here. If you look at it, you can see that the widgets in here, they are going top down. Okay, so essentially this thing right here, this whole thing right here, it's a column. Okay, now what do we have in our column? Well, in our column, essentially we have an image here, and then this other part right here. And then this other part right here is, if you look at it, it also goes from top down. Okay, so this part right here is a column 2. Okay, and if we look what will be in this column, well, essentially we'll have some text, and then the other part, the other widget in this column of ours is a row. Now, why do I say it's a row? Well, really, if you look at it, we have our things running from left to right, or horizontal per se. Okay, so essentially this is a row, right? So let's go ahead and continue with what I just said right now. So essentially we have a column, okay, and in our column, if I can get to type well, in our column, what we'll have is an image. Okay, so we'll have an image, and we'll have some text. Sorry, we'll have a column, okay, which is this part right here. And then since our image comes from the network, we'll have to say that, yo, Flutter, this image comes from the network, okay? And I'll just go ahead and paste the link which we'll be using there. There, okay, good. And let's just go ahead and reload this. Let's say, what do we have right now? So I saved it. And then if we look at our app now, we have the image over there, and then an invisible column. Because, okay, we didn't put anything there, so it has a height, everything of 0, I believe. So that's why you don't see anything there. Right. So let's go ahead and continue with this column right here. Okay. So in this column here, what we have is, again, text and the row. So we'll literally just continue like that. So in our widget here, we have text and a row, okay? Text and a row, right? And what do we have in our text? We have the title of the article or whatsoever, what that thing is. And in this case, I'll just paste the title, which I've already gone and copied. Okay, so there it is. Save that, and there we have it. We already have our title, so it's already starting to shape up. But yeah, now coming over to where do we go to next? I'm not so sure if we should do the styling first or this part. I'm not so sure. Okay, but okay, let's just do okay, let's continue with the row part. Okay, and in our row we can tell that, okay, this row has a text field, has an image here, which is essentially the icon, website icon, and then it has a text here, and also some text here, and then also some 3 icons there. But then we can tell that this text is cut off, so we'll go ahead and put logic for that. Okay, not logic, but we'll go ahead and put something to do that for us. Okay, so the text, if it's too long, it will be like ellipses most, like it, yeah, it will be shortened. All right, so let's just go ahead and put an image. Okay, well, image.network. And since our image is coming from the net, let's go ahead and paste the image link. Okay, right, there we go, and save that. Okay, there it is. It looks big now, but I believe we can go ahead and change that a bit later on. But for now, that's not our concern. We just want to get the basic UI out of the way. Okay, so next up is the text, which is essentially this part right here, and it goes YouTube and a dot icon, a dot symbol. a dot symbol. So I'm just following how the design is here. Okay, so it is a dot symbol and the name of the show, which is last week tonight, I believe. Okay, with John Oliver. Whoa, Oliver. Okay, that's the name of the show. Okay, good. And the following one would be this part right here, this text right here. Okay, so text, put that symbol and then the time ago when it was posted, 5 hours ago. Okay, good. And next up, let's just see how this looks like for now. To probably be overflowing, right? So we can tell that our text is overflowing, but let's not worry too much about it for now. Okay, good. Right, so we have our text, and then after our text we have these 3 icons right here. Right, so we'll go ahead and put an icon, and this will be a heart icon. Sorry, it should be favorite. I don't know why they named it heart. I mean favorite when it's clearly a heart. Does this load? Favorite outline. Okay, there's our icon, and since there are 3, let's just go and copy those 3 times, and we have a share icon. Okay, and the other one is a menu. Hey, I keep forgetting what this one is called. No. All right, goodness, why 3? Okay, I can't even recall. I don't know, why did they not name things straight to the point? But either way, I'll just do this until we figure out or Google what that is. Right, so let's go ahead and save this, and of course this will be, it won't fit really, it's overflowing by apparently 24 pixels, but let's not worry about that for now. Okay, for now let's start with our styling. Okay, and let's start with the title. Let's go ahead and start with the title of the episode, the title of the article or video here. Okay, and what we could do is, well, text has what we call a style. Okay, and essentially we'll just be taking our style from the app. No, so we just don't, yeah, so we use the default, my gosh, we use the text style of the theme we are using. Okay, so essentially you could go ahead and do this text style, and in here define your font size, 18 perhaps, color, and all those things on your own, right? But then I would want to use the text style which is from the theme we're using. Okay, text theme dot, wait, what is the text theme? Yeah, and then headline 6. You can find more information about these headlines on the material website. Material font. Okay, type system. You can find more of it over on this website. This way we'll get to know the sizes of these things right here. Okay, and okay, that is to, okay, there it is. That, okay, and you can see that it's weight, or weight means the boldness or whatsoever of it. Boldness, lol. But then yeah, by default this one is medium, which is why you see it's a bit dark. But then if we go ahead and look in this, it's not too dark to say. So we would want it a bit lighter, if that makes sense. Right, so we'll just go ahead and copy width, and we'll want the font weight of dot let me see what normal looks like. Okay, how does normal look like? Normal, okay, I'm fine with this, to be honest. All right, and yeah, let's say the title was extremely too long. Okay, we wouldn't necessarily want it to cover a lot of space. We'd want to limit it to maximum 2 lines. So that is where now the max lines comes in. Max lines comes in, max lines, let's say 2, okay? And what do we want to happen if it overflows? Well, really it's greater than 2 lines. It wants to go over 2 lines. Well, essentially we'll go ahead and limit it and tell you that, if it's overflowing, put ellipses, okay? So let's say that. Okay, nothing happens, but then let's see how this goes. I have not tested this, but let's see if, okay, good. So then since this text is way too much, it will cut off, okay? It will cut off instead of going to a new line. All right, okay. Next thing we're gonna do is look at our icon right here. We can tell that our icon is relatively small, okay? So we'll go ahead and give it a size which is comparatively tinier. So maybe a width of 20 pixels. How does this look? So, okay. Oh wait, 20 pixels, this looks fine. Right. Now, essentially, the next thing is we'll need to put some spacing between our icon, the website icon, and the website name. And that is where the size box would come in, okay? Size box with a width of, let's just say 10 pixels wide, okay? And let's see how that looks like. I feel like that's a bit too large. Yeah, that's too much. So let's give it 5 pixels. Now, these pixels right here that I'm giving, what just happened? Strange. Okay. Now, these pixels that I'm giving here, they are relative to my phone, so the number of pixels on my phone. So when it comes to your phone, you may want to change it up, okay? It all depends really to the scaling, to the pixels on the phone. All right, so you may need to change this. So if it's 5 for me, it may need to be 10 on yours, just depending on your phone, really. Phone screen. All right, good. So if we go ahead and look here, the next thing we have is that, oh man, sorry. It's hot in here again. If we're good to look, if we're to look at what we have here, is that, let's look at the constraints which are here. So for this text right here, we can tell that it has less precedence compared to whatever else is on the right side. Okay, so whatever is on this side can take up more space compared to the title, compared to this text right here. Okay, so how do we tell Flutter that, this thing right here, this text right here, keep it at a less proportion, like its ratio should be less compared to this one right here? Well, that's where the expanded widget comes in. Right, so the way we will do that is just go ahead and wrap this text right here, or really just this text and this part right here in an expanded widget, okay? But then since we want to wrap all of them in an expanded widget, and we don't want to wrap each and every one of them in an expanded, we'll put this in a row. Okay, and once we put those in a row, we can wrap the entire row in an expanded. All right, if that is not if I am not making sense, please tell me. And yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. So really, let's just click on that and say wrap this in a widget, and this widget is the expanded. Okay, so the expanded really just tells or says that each child should take up the most amount of space it can. Okay, the most available space it can use up, right? And also you can't really use it everywhere. You can only use it, I believe, in a row, column, and perhaps something else. Oh yeah, it even says here a row, column, and flex widget. So you can only put an expanded widget in one of these things right here. Okay, so it's always a good idea to hover over something and just read the little bit of text it gives you there. Okay, good. So we have this part, and we'll also want, as I said, we'll wrap this one in a row. Okay, children is that. Okay, and again wrap this in a widget, which will go in an expanded widget, right? So if we go ahead and save this and just wait for it to reflect on here, has it reloaded? Okay, we have something, there's something there happening. Right, but what does it look like? Right, so essentially we'll now want to tell Flutter that, yo, this one right here, it should take up, it should have a ratio of 1, and then this one a ratio of 1:2. Okay, 1:2. So you're telling them how these two expanded widgets should take up space. So I believe if you're coming from React Native, I believe there's something called a flex. I think I tried React Native a few years ago, and I think if I remember correctly, there's something called a flex. And let's save this. How does it look like now? Right, it still looks a bit funny. So let's go ahead and limit this text to 1 line, max lines to 1, and what else can we limit here? Okay, what should happen if the text is overflowing? All right, overflow. So we'll just say, yo, if the text overflows, let's just put it, just do that, like put dots by it, and yeah, there we are. We have that for now. Okay, it's coming together, my man. I'm telling you, we're getting there so soon. And I don't know how long we've been here. So 20 minutes. Okay, so we're getting there. Right, so now we can tell that this part right here is it's separated. Someone is playing some music there. This part right here is equally spaced out. Okay, and remember, we placed this part in a row. Okay, so since we placed it in a row, we can tell that, yo, row, go ahead and make your children equally spaced out. Okay, or put a space between them. I don't know, but then really you just mess around with the main axis, with how things are aligned on the horizontal axis, that is. And I may not even get it right this time. So main axis alignment dot let's say we wanted to, okay, space between. What does this mean? Let's look at this, wait for it to hot reload. Is it even reloading? I'm not sure. Main axis space around, save. Okay, right. So apparently this is not working. Good. So there is a good thing perhaps about doing it live in front of you. You can actually tell how I will go about this, because I'm not sure what is happening right now. And oh, that makes sense. I'm actually wrapping the wrong thing, the wrong row. It shouldn't be this. It should actually be the other. It should be this, where I should be placing this, not there. I can go ahead and remove that, save this, and good. There we are. Okay. There we are. Okay, good. But then, since remember this is space around, so it's literally around the widgets, around here. Okay, now we don't want it to be around. I believe we want it to be between the widgets. So let's go ahead and try that. Between, space between. Okay, good. How are we looking? So far so much better. Okay, good. And why is it like this? Last week there's some space here. I'm not so sure where it's coming from, so let's look at it quickly. So you're saying space between last week. Anyways, let's just, I'm not so sure at the moment, but let's go ahead and just continue styling this text right here at the bottom. Okay, and let's give it a style, and I'm going to take again the text style from the theme we're using. Okay, text theme, gosh, where is it? Text theme. Okay, dot subtitle 2. Okay, and let's see how this looks now. And okay, it's bold, which is what we want. Good. Now let's just go ahead and copy this style over to our time ago. If we do that, and there we go, we have our text with, yeah, it all looks proper now. Okay, apparently it shouldn't be that too bold, so let's just go ahead and reduce it by copying, by doing this, where you essentially just adjust the font weight, and let's just set it to font weight dot, let's try a font weight of 400. How does this look? Okay, much lighter. This we can deal with. Actually, I believe maybe we should really just set it to 400. Okay, so for both of them, right? And moment to do that, and look at that, it's already coming together. Good. Now the next thing, we'll want to add some spacing between, we'll want to go ahead and add spacing around, let's just say around this column, or some padding really on this column. Okay, and the way we will do that is just wrap our column, this column right here, we'll wrap it with a padding. Okay, and this padding will be not so certain at the moment, but let's just give it a padding of 15 for now. Okay, on all sides, padding of 15. How does this look? Okay, I can live with this. It looks fine. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's go ahead and give this image of ours a curve. Okay, so essentially what we could do is wrap our widget in something called a clip r rect. Okay, now what that will do is essentially just give a radius to whatever widget, to whatever its child is. Okay, clip r rect. All right, good. And if you checked out before, we've actually used this widget for giving our profile picture a radius so we can look around. Right, so let's just go ahead and give it a border radius, and this border radius, we would only want it on the top and left side. So we'll say border radius dot only on the top left, and on the top left we'll want a radius dot, we'll want a circular radius, or let's just say 15. Pick 15. I'm not so sure of the units used there. And then top right, let's do that, and let's look at what we have so far. So save, and we can tell that there is some curve already. But then if we compare this curve to the one in the image, the one we used is a bit too much. So let's go ahead and reduce it to 10, and this one to 10. Okay, much better. Okay, good. Next up is to actually give the entire, sort of to make this part, to give it some elevation per se. And the way we will do that is wrap our entire column here in a container. And why do we wrap it in a container? Well, essentially with a container you can give your widget an elevation, sort of a shadow, I mean, which will emulate or simulate a shadow. Yeah, there's a kid climbing in the tree, goodness. Okay, right, and you can give it a shadow on the sides you will specify. So in this case we'll give it a shadow on this side, and also you can give it a color. Okay, doesn't matter, but let's just go ahead and wrap our column, which is essentially the entire card, in a container. Okay, now container gets something called a decoration, okay, which is essentially just a box decoration, and in here is where we will get to pass the shadow. Is it the shadow? Yeah, this is where we get to pass the shadow, a box shadow. And if we quickly over this, I don't remember this. It expects a list of box shadows, right? So it expects a list of box shadow, and really you can just pass one in there, okay, unless you may want to do something fancy. And the box shadow expects a color, which we can leave as it, okay, we can change that later on, but it expects an offset, blur radius, and spread radius. Okay, you can read into this more if you over the text once you write them down, but really I'm doing just some guesswork here. Right, so let's give it an offset. So an offset is really where would you want your shadow to display, right? So if we can get in, if we can over this, it expects okay, so it's offset with a small s. It expects essentially just an x and y, like how much of how far would you want it away from the x axis and also the y axis, right? So in this case, since it starts let's just do this, because really the only way you will perhaps understand the offset, how it works, is really just by playing around with the numbers and seeing how it goes around. My eyelash, it got in my eye. Okay, and spread the radius, I'll give this, I don't know, just give it a 5.0, and then we have a blur radius, and I'll give this 1.0, and let's look at what we have so far. Save that. Whoa. And we can see now we have a shadow, which is, well, it's doing what it's supposed to do, but then we can tell that we need to give our this part right here a background color of white, just so that it's, yeah, just need to give it a background color of white. And for you to do that, you just give it its color in the box decoration, colors.white. Okay, save as it loads. And damn, I'm proud it's working. Okay, and there we go. We have our sort of card looking thingy underway. So it's on the way. Come on, have some slack. Okay, and I'm not so sure. Perhaps I should have swapped this around. So maybe this should be 5 and this 5 1.0. Save. Yeah, this is the way it should be. All right, so you just keep playing around with these numbers right here, and we can see the color here is a bit too dark. Okay, so go ahead and change the color to a gray color, which I think we can use this gray variant. And did it save it? I think it's still hot reloading. Save. Okay, this looks much better, right? And you can see the shadow is okay. Good. We have decided to put the shadow more to this side. I'll assume. Goodness, don't quote me on that. Don't quote me. But then essentially, if you go ahead and look really close right here, you can tell that our white is being exposed there in the edges right there. And what we'll want to do is to wrap this part in to give it, I mean, also a radius. Okay, so it's also cut. My goodness, English, can't think of the word. But then we also want to give it some radius so it's not exposed there. Okay, and perhaps if you can see what I'm really talking about, let's just go ahead and increase the radius of the picture here. But then you can tell that there's this white part right there, which is from the background, right? And the way we will go ahead and do that is just give our container a radius. Okay, and let's just give it a border radius. And I'm going to copy this right here. Is this it? No, it should be radius. Is it? Ah, no. Sorry, this should probably be in here. Yeah, border radius. Border radius. Let's see how this looks. Perfect. Now we don't have that we don't have it exposed anymore, right? And essentially that should almost be it all, unless there is something else I'm missing with regard to this. Okay, this, and so we also have some spacing here, so let's just go ahead and put some spacing between our title and this text right here. So here we have some size box and the height of 10 pixels. How does this look? Is it done reloading? Okay, good. Take 10 pixels right there. Okay, good. And yeah, really that should be it about. Oh no, we actually need to give it some curve also at the bottom. Sorry, almost forgot that. So really I believe we should just give it curve on all the directions. Gosh, excuse me for that. All of 10. Okay, that's a quick way to do it. 10 on all sides, and yeah, there we are. Okay, Good. So that is that part done. Now what we would want to do is probably just give some margin between the card and the border. Okay, and the way we will do that is just give it a margin here and edge inserts dot symmetric. Okay, now why am I using symmetric? Well, really it's the best one to use in this case, and you can hover over this and see which one might suit your case. Right, so I would want that in the horizontal direction I would want a margin of 15 pixels. Okay, and there we have our card now with 15 pixels to the on the edges. Right, and essentially this should be it for the card. Right, but then just to quickly just finish this thing off once and all, we'll now go ahead and simulate really just 5 of these or whatsoever, just so we can actually scroll this. And the way we will do that is we'll be putting this in what we call a list view. Okay, so we'll be putting it in a list view, which, as it implies, is essentially just a list, right? And a list view dot builder. I believe this one is more efficient. Don't quote me again on that. And it takes an item builder, and we hover over this item builder just so we know what it expects. It expects a function which takes in a context and an integer, which the integer here will be the index. Okay, context and an index. Don't worry much about what the context is. Right, and it also expects an item count. Okay, because you need to tell it, yo, how many times it needs to do this. Okay, so really for 5 times return my card. Okay, and how does this look like? Semicolon, not a comma. Excuse me. Save, hot reload, and let's go ahead and look at our, if there are any errors in here. So we have whatever this is, and this keeps going on and on. Let's limit this to Flutter. So we're getting this. Essentially, we didn't assign any height, I believe, to it. And all right. So this part, I've been doing this many times, but I still get caught up on it. But essentially, what we could do is, I don't know, let's just try this quickly. Shrink wrap to true. But then these are just properties you get to mess around with until you get it working. But essentially you're not, it didn't give it any height, I believe. So there was no constraint as to what height it should have. Right, and if we look here now, we have these things, they are too close to each other. So our cards are closely stacked to each other. So we'll want to add some margin also to the top, or vertical. Okay, and vertical margin we'll set that to 15 pixels. Right, 15 pixels, and there we are. All right, so essentially that is it. But then we can see here that this thing right here, it's not scrolling. It's not okay. It is sort of. You can see here is fine. So I'm trying to scroll with my finger. It's trying to scroll, but then essentially it's not. So what we could do is we'll want to scroll like the entire screen, right? So we can wrap our entire screen or widget from top to bottom in what we call a single child scroll view. Now what this will do is essentially just make your widget scrollable. Okay, single child scroll view. Okay, single child scroll view. Let's just check this. Okay, there we go, we have it set there. But then if you think of it now, we have this single child scroll view, and we also have a list view, right? So if you think of it, really we are having two things which scroll in one, which is essentially causing a conflict. All right, let me check if it's even giving us some warnings. Is it okay? No, it's not giving us any warning. But then essentially it's not scrolling because we are having two scrollable widgets, two scroll views in each other. Okay, so essentially what you can do is disable one of them from scrolling, and that's what we'll do with our list view. Okay, so that only the main single child scroll view can be the one scrolling. And the way we will do that is give it physics, and we'll say yo, never scroll, okay, this one. Okay, save this, hot reload, and there we have it. So right in about 40 minutes we have gotten this thing done, right? But then I'm not so comfortable right now with the way the picture is. I sort of want it more to the left, and let's just go ahead and wrap it in a padding. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap it in a padding, and the padding we'll give it is, we'll only want to pad it to the right side. Okay, so that's why we'll say yo, pad it only to the right side by 15 pixels. Okay, and let's see how that looks. As long as it's safe. Goodness, I need to buy RAM. 15 pixels, I'm fine with that. I can live with this. This looks better, but then I don't think I can really live with it if this icon looks like that. What is it called? Material icons, menu item, menu icon. Is it menu item then? Well, I'll be surprised. Let's just do that and look, and it says menu menu item. No, gosh, I don't know why these things are not named appropriately, but then really you can find it at some point, right? So essentially that should be it all, really. I'll just leave this at share, and yeah, so as an improvement, so sort of like homework for you, what you could do is you can look into packages, which will once you click on this card, it will actually open it up in the browser. So let's just look at it quickly, what I'm trying to say. That is, if, wait, is this the right app? Right, so if we're to look in the actual app, and if someone clicks on it, it will open up in a browser, right? So what you can do is go to pubdev, where packages are hosted, which can assist you do much more functionality instead of you writing a bunch of code. Okay, so you can go ahead here and search for whatever package you want. Okay, and I mean, you can just open, I don't know, open in browser maybe. I'm not so sure if this will, okay, you can do an in-app web view, right? And there you go. So this is like something we continue with, like it's an improvement to what we have done here, all right? And yeah, maybe if this is overkill, there's still other packages out there which are easier perhaps to follow, right? Yeah, and really that should be it all. Okay, sorry. This closed it, cancelled it. And yeah, in case there are any questions, you may post them. And yeah, I've gone a little bit over time. And yeah, thanks for attending.